Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at Bunnahabhain, 1968, 49-year-old. Let me get this right, Dustin. This is the MOS Warehouse Diamonds. Sherry butt, 18032, 42.1% ABV, only 167 bottles. And again, this is a 49-year-old Bunnahabhain that went the full distance in one sherry cask, Dustin.
That's insane.
Insane.
Absolutely.
So we got this little let's sample this gem. We bought 4 ounces from a guy that was cracking open a bottle. So we've had this sit it open just like the Lagavulin 12. Had this sitting here now for about 45 minutes, opening up. 49-year-old whiskey. It's rare, Dustin, that you get to try a whiskey older than you, especially at my age.
Yeah.
And I've had a whiskey that was my age when I was 40. I told you I had the Bunnahabhain 40.
This has got a full decade on me, Mike.
Yeah, but this is 49 years old.
Well, and you say 49. I remember when you sent it to me. If you take the bottling year and the distillation year, it was 50 years. So this is 49 plus.
Plus.
You could almost call this a 50-year-old whiskey. I might just clickbait a thumbnail. You never know.
You never know. So the exact particulars is 1968 vintage and bottled in 2018. So that is 50 total years.
Yeah.
But he just didn't quite make it at 50. So 49 and some change. 42.1, which is cask strength.
I'm so impressed by the legs on this, Mike. They are so slow forming for a 42% whiskey.
Yeah, so let's get to the heart of it. As far as the legs and the viscosity, at least on the nose.
Well, I mean, this color too. I mean, I'm telling you, this is just gorgeous.
Yeah, mahogany. If there ever was mahogany. Warehouse Diamonds, man. Got one cask with 167 bottles. I tell you what, this smells so much stronger than 42.1. This smells much higher.
Well, I was the one who poured these, and instantly, like as soon as I cracked the sample, I was just like, whoa, wow.
Man, there are some dark fruits here.
Ooh, I mean, there is an oak note on here, Mike, that I can't put words to.
Yeah, the oak note is almost infused with old leather that's brittle. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't had any conditioner on it in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an old leather chair, but not like one that's been in an antique store where it's really giving that like antique note. It's very clean with that beautiful sherry on it. I mean, I was expecting a lot more oak coming into this, near 50-year-old whiskey, and the balance is incredible. And then when I first started nosing it, I thought we were maybe going to get into like a gasoline type note, but it almost gets into like, I don't know, something you would expect at like some fancy spa, like mud bath type thing, where it's just slightly earthy, but it's very clean, and yet I think the first thing you said when we cracked this open was, well, it smells old.
Mm-hmm. It does smell old.
It smells ancient. I mean, you can't miss that.
Yeah, like the oak note, and there's like a leather note and an oak note, which I've gotten on whiskeys many times before, but they're just intertwined. And really dark fruits, like a purple plum, like maybe even a blackberry.
Ooh, blackberry's a good call out, actually. Yeah, blackberry with like...
But it's not acidic or tannic at all.
No. The overall experience here is slightly sugary.
Yes, very
Just
sweet.
Slightly sugary. It's sweet. There's no sour. There's no bitter.
No bitter.
And really, there's only 2 key elements here. There's the fruits.
Yeah, dark fruits.
And then there's that leather oak kind of thing. And there's really nothing else here. But that's not a bad thing.
Well, there's an overall sherry note to it as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what those fruits are, is the sherry.
Yeah.
But I don't get I'm not getting like the milk chocolate or dark chocolate, really. I mean, if you want to argue there's chocolate here, I'll believe you. By the way, shout out to our Patreons, Mike, because they bought this for us.
Yeah.
That is one of the things we don't get much out of the Patreon money, but this is this is our first kind of use of that funding.
Yes.
And thanks, guys.
Yeah, we thought it'd be cool to buy something you didn't see all the time.
Well, I mean, how often do we get to do a review of a near 50-year-old whiskey and bring that to the people?
Never.
Because people love seeing these crazy bottles every now and then. And then they're like, all right, guys, now we need something we can actually buy.
We like to run the gamut. Woo! I mean, because this is like I don't know. I've seen it for as high as $5,000 this bottle. I've seen it for as low not that I get at the shop of 2,800 or something. I want to say, but
Yeah.
it's
We
an
take the
expensive bottle.
120 an ounce roughly that we paid, call it 25 ounces, which is probably generous. And well, you guys do the math, but that's going to be over $3,000.
Yeah.
So we actually got a good price.
That guy's a savvy buyer. I'm sure he's on the low end.
Now I am starting to get maybe hints of like a milk chocolate, but again, it's not sweet, but it's not unsweet. It's just subtle sweetness all through this.
A faint tobacco note with a slight pepper to it.
I don't know about the pepper, but I do get where you're getting some like wet tobacco leaves. Yeah.
Some mint or something for maybe trying to fight its way out too. There's a wisp of something cooling almost.
There's something cooling. You could.
I don't think menthol or mint maybe, but it's something. I'm just not used to it.
I mean, if you want to argue it's mint, I guess. But I don't. Like, I
It's
couldn't tell you what.
It's along that.
I couldn't
line.
tell you what kind of mint. Like it's not spearmint. It's not wintergreen. It's
No, it's lighter than that. It's almost like a vanilla cream to it. It has like a twinge of mint in the background to it.
maybe like a Cool Whip, where it's not even vanilla really. It's just kind of a whipped cream of some sort that's just slightly sweet.
That note's insubstantial.
I'm getting a lot of, now that you've brought it up, I'm really getting a lot of tobacco, wet tobacco leaf, big time.
Yeah, there's a very damp, now that you said wet, there's a very damp experience to this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like wet cask almost is in here.
Wet oak, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that leather chair is maybe a little wet, but it's not mildewy. It's just like, it just rained.
And the door's open.
Yeah, the door's open and...
Let some leaves in.
No, you're a tobacco farmer. I'm telling you. The tobacco note here is wet tobacco, absolutely.
Yeah, but it almost smells like there's a wet stick of the stave right in here. You know, almost like it's very. There's a. When you said earthy before, I was like, there's. He's somewhere getting close to something I can't quite describe, but there's an earthy, damp oak note.
Well, see, now that you've put that thought of pepper in my thing, I'm actually getting not pepper, but corn nuts, which I think is where that peppery thing is coming from.
Maybe some type of peppercorn type or some type of. It's hard. It's hard because this is still at its core a very sweet, overly sherried whiskey on the nose.
It really is, yeah.
So I'm trying to like dig through it, but
I get, it's one of those things that you know age when you smell it if you've had a decent amount of 25-plus-year-old whiskeys.
you know this is old.
But when you get to, but I don't know anybody who can say, yeah, I've had tons of 40 and 45-year-old whiskeys.
Yes,
There's a handful of people in the world who can make that statement, and
it's hard to quantify that type of note. That how that old in the leathers. It's just different.
well, and like I said, the more I knows this, the less old it is, and the more like youthful.
And sherry it is.
Yeah.
It's got pop to it.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed.
Wet pop. It's fireworks in the rain.
Oh man, yeah, there's this savory, but not overly savory element to this.
Almost like a twinge of Flint.
Yes, like I don't know
I think
about
I think that's what the pepper was.
I don't know about Flint necessarily, but there's like something that's been on fire here. Just and it was a long
You ever
time
strike
ago.
like a flint stone or something like that? Like it's like a little spark smell.
It's been a long time, but yeah, I have done that. I could never get the fire to start, but I tried it. I tried hard.
Well, it's raining, like we said before. It's wet.
These tobacco leaves aren't catching on fire, man.
I'm giving myself a sip.
Oh, that cooling, sweet vanilla note. If there was a vanilla bubblegum, man, this would be it. With all that sherry. It's just got so many subtle, barely noticeable layers. That sort of earthy mud note. But under that, there's a little vanilla. It is cooling. It is wet. There's tobacco. There's a little pepper, corn, nut kind of thing. I mean, just wow.
Man, that is purple sherry. Initially, I mean, first of all, that is a delicate mouthfeel. The viscosity comes off way higher than 42, but the mouthfeel comes off super silky. Like a silk curtain just sashaying across your palate. almost where I want to find better words to describe it. It's that silky. The depth of that sherry, almost Dimetapp purple flavored cough syrup. It is that purple and dark. The fruits are there. Overall, that wet wood cask feeling is there. But, I mean, really, its delivery is fairly straightforward as a super silky sherried whiskey with some, like a little bit of dark blackberry, dark raisin, dark honey, and just a twinge of oak smoke here at the end, as the finish kind of sachets into the vanilla cream. If you want to take another little sip before you will give your thoughts. Man, I mean, overall, that's a.
I mean, I think you nailed a lot of what I'm getting. The dark honey note, I think, is a really prevalent one that really stood out to me. I did get a lot more of like a spicy, warming note up front initially on the arrival than I expected. I don't think you focused on that much, but it had a nice arrival. Finish maybe on the short, thinner side, and I would say yes, the Dimetapp sherry's here, but it's different than like the ones we've talked about in the past. It's redder, it's softer. It hits on.
It's almost like it's been purified.
Even like where the whiskey's hitting like on different like parts of my tongue. Mm-hmm. This is more central on the Dimetapp, whereas normally you get it up front on the sweetness. This is hitting different like olfactory like spots or whatever it's called.
Well, that's what I kind of said. It's like a silk sheet just rolling across your palate. Like that whole experience just kind of hits different sides. And yeah, you may feel a little bit of the darker flavors on the side of the tongue, or on the middle of your tongue. You may get more of the fruitier flavors. But go ahead.
Oh no, I was talking to myself. I was trying to say. I was saying, what is that? So the arrival, there's this really interesting interplay of the sweet sherry, and I think what is oak coming in real early on. Usually the oak kind of takes over at the finish, which this one does. And God, it's a beautiful, rich, leathered oak. I mean, like, your premium shoes kind of like smell, you're tasting it. But that up front, there's just this rich, incredibly vibrant, like, on these older whiskeys, they're not always vibrant. Mm-hmm. Like, take the Balvenie tons that we've really enjoyed. Mm-hmm. They're not vibrant whiskeys. They're bold. They're incredible. But they're not vibrant. They're old. You can tell they're old whiskey. And even the 20-year-old stuff they used to add a little bit of exuberance is minimal. This up front has a nice little bit of vibrancy, which is shocking at something this old and single cask.
It's got some spark. It does.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a spark. It's this this explosion of like kind of slightly, almost, dare I say, untamed.
It's wave after wave of the same kind of dark sherried whiskey. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's an old, sophisticated, silky wave. Another one, and another one that's just slightly different. And there's this layers, this whole thing that makes it complex, but everything stays in a pretty tight radius as far as flavor. Oh man, I could drink this all day long. I mean, the palatability of this whiskey, if you like sherry whiskey at all, is just unbelievable.
I am surprised how spicy and just kind of tongue damaging this is for the low ABV. I know it's super sherried, which often does that, where it just, I mean, in a good way. I like that tongue damaging kind of thing. It's a sign of really full, powerful, drying sherry cask. But man, I was not ready for that level of like richness in the sherry. I mean, if I had to like compare this to something in the world of what people have had, it's like a Glengoyne 30.
But older.
Well, I'm obviously older, but I'm just saying, like, in something like, this isn't the 25, this is oakier. But the 30's brighter than this. This is like the oak of the 30 and the depth of like an old Glengoyne 25. Just so you guys out there kind of can get in the realm.
Buddy, the only thing that's had a sherry note even close to this are the Balvenie 1401 tons. And I'm talking like batch 8.
Well, I mean, but this is different than that too, man. It is.
It's like, more singular in its focus, and it's actually a much softer whiskey than that whiskey.
Again, that one doesn't have the vibrancy because that one's like the 40-year-old casks are starting to take over. Whereas this one,
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
This one has some of that like the 25-year-old going like liveliness if a 25-year-old has it.
It does have, yes, but
then the Buna malt here is, by the way, still very much there.
Mm-hmm.
That malt, and that's what makes this nothing like the Glengoyne at the end of the day, is that Buna is just such a nice, beautiful spirit. Now, mind you, this isn't today's Buna.
no.
But
This was 1968's.
but this reminds me still of today's Buna. Like there's elements here they haven't
The nuttiness
completely
is still
lost.
there. A little bit of the nuttiness, which I really wasn't getting before, but I put a couple drops
There's a
of water.
certain sweetness that Buna has that I think comes through. It's almost like a bubble gum, which, by the way, that sherry bubblegum note, I'm starting to pick it up just on the finish, not during the rest of it, but just the finish.
Yeah, that's this old sherry note. It's amazing it got this old yet this refined.
Yeah.
And this approachable yet still popping. You know what I mean?
I mean, I can't believe they didn't. They created this kind of balance without blending. Like this is usually what the point of blending 3-4 casks together is to get to this. They've nailed it.
Yeah, this would be a whiskey so easily drinkable for anybody who liked any type of sweet whiskey or sherry whiskey. You wouldn't get blown away by this by any stretch of the imagination.
I could drink half a bottle.
Yeah, this would be
Easily.
Yeah, this would be a scary drinker. It would go down fast.
I'm getting like a fresh baked lava cake. Just a little, like that little note of fresh
That's a good note.
baked lava
A
cake.
little bit of the powdered sugar on top.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to stick the fork right into that thing and just watch
There
it.
is something like fresh baked cake donut to this chocolate cake donut before the sugar hit it. Not that the sugar isn't there. Whew, man, it's a good one.
Now it doesn't. I mean, I just put the slightest bit of water in there, but man, I'm telling you, it has become much more dessert and no longer is so old like on the nose. It's still old whiskey for sure, but I mean, you could tell me it's a 20-something, which is often a good thing when you're talking about something nearing that 50-year mark, because you kind of want it to drink a little younger than it is, because if it gets too old smelling and tasting, that becomes a problem.
This is just turning into some decadent cake dessert after dinner at a super high-end
That is
restaurant.
beautiful.
This is yeah. And you said lava chocolate. This is some type of high-end chocolate cake at a really high-end steakhouse.
Yeah, they're not trying. It's not overly rich. They're not trying to beat you up with the sweetness. They just want you to enjoy it.
So it's your bounce off of the steak you just ate. Beautiful whiskey, Dustin. Absolutely beautiful whiskey. Pricey.
Ooh, now I'm getting. Ooh,
Blueberry.
I mean, if you put the power of suggestion, but I was going to say a little bit of mint.
You got there.
A little bit of mint there on the palate now.
I smelled Adams a few times.
We had two other friends who got to try this. I know one of them had it. I don't know if the other one has tried it yet.
No, just one of them.
Has the other one even gotten it yet? Okay.
You might not.
Just return that money.
Reject that payment.
Oh, man, wow. All right, so now I got to start thinking about scoring this thing. I haven't even thought about that yet, Mike. So
I've been thinking the whole time, Dustin. Going back and forth.
I was trying to enjoy this and not even think about that. Just try to let the experience take me. So give me a few more minutes with this thing.
Well, I'll
Maybe another half hour.
All right, so obviously this is into the lower 90s. Now, I was thinking it's very low end 91, but I'm going to go 92, and I'll tell you why. One, there are a few things here I've never really experienced, and everything, all of those things were good. That super old oak note, the silky mouthfeel across the whole thing, amazing. The snappiness and the complete experience a single cask 49-year-old whiskey could be. I'm at a 92 out of 100 on this.
So I still want to spend another hour thinking about this one and going back, because there, as you noted, there's something unique here. And the problem for me is that unique note that really makes this unique from anything I've had before, Mike, comes in just after the arrival, lasts for about 15, 20 seconds, and then it goes away. And I cannot put my finger on it. And it's one of those things I just want to keep going back to decide if that's something that adds a point or two, or if it's just good enough. So unfortunately, I can't get to that point because I don't think I'm going to be able to figure that out with what I have left. So I'm going to give this a 91. Mm-hmm. I can't believe I got to try a near 50-year-old whiskey.
Can't believe I got to try whiskey.
I never thought I'd ever experience that. That alone probably makes this a 96 in experience. But
yeah,
I think 91, I'm pretty comfortable there. If you said 92 or 93, I wouldn't disagree with you. It's in, again, we had an ounce.
Yeah, not a lot you can do with that. Healthy ounce.
Yeah, I was going to say this felt good.
So thanks to my buddy in California. So once again, this is the Bunnahabhain MOS Warehouse Diamonds. 1968, 49-year-old Bunnahabhain. 42.1% ABV. Man, it's fun they let whiskeys get that old. Only 167 bottles.
I wonder if it was a sherry. It probably was a sherry butt, too. It lost that much.
Yeah, it's a sherry butt.
Wow.
One sherry butt. 167. Or 76. I think 67 now.
That's incredible, Mike. Just incredible.
Fun whiskey. Fun whiskey. I'm glad I got to try it. I know a couple of our buddies have it. Our buddy in Tennessee has it. So, hopefully...
Does he have a bottle?
He has a bottle. And he actually got a couple of samples to see if it was worth opening. I mean, it's a very unique, very impressive whiskey. It will go well the next time I would like to visit Nashville.
Note to self, we're heading to Nashville soon.
This summer for
What are
sure.
you doing this weekend? Or next?
Anyway, those are our thoughts on the whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try this one,
Nice.
take that with a grain of salt. Let us know what you guys think. And Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy 50-year-old drinking.
We'll see you then.